Welcome, everybody. My name is Theresa Zangerle-McArtin. I'm a registered dietitian here at Premier Medical Group. Those of you who don't know me, I have been working as a dietitian for over 10 years. I've done acute care setting, long-term care. I've worked in ICU setting. I've worked in nephrology, which is kidney disease. And for the past 6 years, I've been dedicating my line of work to outpatient setting and working on obesity programs, as well as IBS programs and celiac disease and digestive disease issues. So welcome here tonight. I hope you guys like our webinar. I hope you find it very informative. Our webinar I entitled Social Distancing Ourselves from the Refrigerators, because during this time of quarantine that we've had to overcome, it's been a struggle for a lot of people. And the struggle is the weight gain that we have had during this time due to being home, lack of exercise, a whole host of different reasons. So today we're going to talk about that. And on our web menu for today, we're going to talk about weight gain during quarantine, how to avoid it if we have to go back into quarantine for any reason, the tug of war of weight, so basically the basic behind weight, quarantine or no quarantine, what happens to our bodies metabolically that we have this big struggle with weight for some people all of our lives. Why are we gaining weight? How can we lose weight? And different strategies for weight loss to help you overcome any weight loss plateaus that you're going through. Okay, so I don't know if anyone felt like this during our lockdown. And this is Winnie the Pooh. My kids love Winnie the Pooh, and I thought this slide was cute and very apropos for what was going on. So me, after finishing all the quarantine snacks in 2 nights, and actually I had many patients during the time of quarantine tell me that this is what they would do. They would all of a sudden get all this influx of food into their house, and they would feel like they were Winnie the Pooh with a big stuffed belly because they ate all their food, whether it was emotional or just mindless eating, things like that going on. So if any of you felt like this during this time, you are not alone. Okay, so the weight gain that happened actually during our lockdown or quarantine, whatever word you want to use for it, we actually deemed it in the nutritional world the quarantine 15. Some people gain the quarantine 10, some people gain the quarantine 5, and some people gain the quarantine 25. I know somebody that gained the quarantine 30. So it happens, and it happened to a lot of people during this time. What we're going to look at tonight is why it happened, strategies to make sure it doesn't happen again, and strategies just in our regular weight loss hurdles in life that we are going through. Because life is stressful. Life is never without our stressors. Otherwise, it wouldn't be life. So how do we overcome that on a daily basis? So know that you are not alone during this quarantine 15 struggle and coming out of quarantine and now trying to, it's still August, so we still have swimsuit season going on, and we still are looking to lose this weight, right? So you are not alone. Nearly half of women surveyed by a WebMD poll had gained weight. In the U.S., more women said they had put on weight during this time. In a poll of over 1,000 people, 47% of women said they put on weight, and 22% of men said they put on weight during quarantine. So with these numbers, you are not alone. These numbers I know I looked up about a month ago, and I'm sure they're probably ever changing. So when we're looking at this time of, okay, quarantine, we gained weight. Why did we gain weight? So when I was researching this, one of the biggest contributing factors was a lack of exercise. So think of it, right? What happened in March? The biggest thing, we were in lockdown, gyms closed. I know gyms hopefully are going to be opening back up, 33% capacity in the next week. So people will be getting back to the gym. That will be a relief for some people. I know I spoke to some patients today, very relieved that they're able to get back to it. But some people lost their ability to add in exercise. So that was the number one factor. Number 2, stress. It's still a stressful time. I don't think anybody can say we're not under stress during with what's going on in the world today. So, but stress is a daily there's something that can happen all the time in our lives. So how do we overcome that? And the accessibility factor. Some people, it was this accessibility to food. There was a time where we could only find, very limited items in the grocery store. So I think all these factors were playing a big role in this quarantine 15 that we're talking about. So what happened? So in my mind, I always look at when we gain weight, why are we gaining weight? And we want to get back to the basics, back to the basic idea of what's going on in our bodies, right? So what happens in our bodies that makes it so difficult to lose weight? And the other question we want to look at is obesity a disease? Okay, so obesity is considered a disease, all right? So we in the medical professional world are now looking at obesity a little bit differently. 10 years ago, it really wasn't looked at this way. It is now. And obesity is a chronic disease that affects over 100 million Americans. That's more than 3 times the number of adults with diabetes. So think about it, right? We have all these people suffering from obesity. We're trying to overcome it. And for obesity, diabetes is one of the comorbid conditions that we see. So what are the contributor factors that are going on, right? So we want to look at things in our life that potentially could be a problem. So the contributing factors that we can look at are environmental factors, right? So what's going on in our environment? Do we have people in our household that are enabling us? Is your significant other walking over to you with a bowl of ice cream at night going, hey, do you want some? And is our willpower at night maybe not so great? And we go, yeah, why not? What does it matter now, right? Society, so external things. So environmental and societal are both things that we can look at. So societal can just be what your accessibility to food, or could be going out with friends and what your social life is too. So that's another factor of you're going out to eat, things like that. So all these things are contributing factors. And genetics are also a big contributing factor as well. So when we're looking at obesity, so remember, we're considering obesity a disease, right? We want to combat this disease. But what happens with obesity? What are the conditions that potentially can happen because of it? So these are some of them. And I thought it was very good to highlight them to just kind of grasp the severity of it and why we really want to start to lose weight. And if you're on this webinar tonight, I'm assuming that you or somebody you know is struggling with weight and wants to lose weight. So you can get some of the comorbid conditions we can see are migraines, depression, sleep apnea, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And I can tell you, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is a disease that I am now seeing in 10-year-old patients. It's a disease that we're seeing more and more, but now to see it in our younger population as well is kind of, it's heartbreaking. You don't want to see a child suffer from that, especially as young as 10 years old. Diabetes as well. We're seeing it in a lot of kids. We're seeing it in adults and children. Polycystic ovarian syndrome, venous stasis disease, cardiovascular disease, dyslipidemia, gastroesophageal reflux disease, cancers. And we're going to talk about cancers in the next slide because there are about 13 cancers that are associated with obesity. Stress, urinary incontinence, degenerative joint disease, and gout. So these are things that we're seeing to have that are directly linking to obesity. So we need to fight this. We need to fight this disease just like we fight any other disease, right? So these are the cancers that we're they're showing in studies that they're linking to obesity. So thyroid, breast, liver, upper stomach, gallbladder, colorectal, ovarian, kidney. So there's a multitude of them. So it's also another thing to think about that, well, we're not just thinking, everybody thinks obesity and thinks diabetes right away, or they may think cardiovascular disease. But there are other diseases now associated with obesity. So I always think it's good to highlight it because it highlights the importance of it. Okay, so why is it so difficult? What's going on that we see this tug of war of weight? We're weight loss, we're gaining weight, we're yo-yoing back and forth. What's going on that makes this such a difficult hurdle to overcome? And there are many factors at play here. Some people will just tell you it's very easy. It's calories in versus calories out, and it is not. There are a lot of hormones at play. And what happens with these hormones is we have two big hormones. We have leptin and ghrelin, okay? Ghrelin is our appetite hormone. So that increases, and as it gets louder and louder and louder, it tells you, I want to eat, I want to eat. And leptin's the one that suppresses things, okay? So leptin kind of comes in and says, oh, I'm satisfied, I'm good, right? Well, what we're finding is that even after weight loss, and this is not to discourage anybody, I always tell everybody that this is not to discourage you, but it's to tell you what is really going on in your body as we're losing weight, is once weight loss starts to happen in our body, what we're seeing scientifically is that the hunger hormone ghrelin starts to increase. And even though we're losing weight, it's coming in and saying, I'm hungry, I want more food. And the satiety hormone isn't coming up just the same, it's decreasing. So we're having this big tug of war with weight. And now we're looking at, okay, so now I have all these factors against me. Now what do I do? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at all those things of what we can do to fight these things that are going on in our body to make you have a successful weight loss. Okay? So there are a couple of myths that I always wanna kind of take into account and kind of poo-poo a little bit outside is take this magic pill. I don't care who you are, what you are, there's no magic pill out there. There are weight loss medications that can be very, very helpful and really help you along the way, but they need to be combined with proper diet and exercise and lifestyle modifications, okay? Another tall tale, and this was back in the day, I want to say I probably heard this when I was a child, was eat a grapefruit a day because that'll help you lose weight. The new thing is intermittent fasting, which does have its place, and I'll explain later where. But there are some fasts that I don't think are going to help you, which fast for 2 days and eat what you want for 5 days. That is a diet that's out there. Another one I hear a lot is don't eat bananas because they will make you fat, and that is just untrue. And the other one is wheat will make you fat. That's another myth. And fad diets are the way to go. So those are things that we want to look at and say how these are not true statements. Okay, so the truth behind everything is portion size matters. What we eat matters, okay? A calorie isn't a calorie. And we're going to look at that too, is why isn't a calorie a calorie? If I eat 400 calories of butter, isn't it the same thing as 400 calories of vegetables? Absolutely not. Calories do count. We want to learn a healthier way to eat, but we also want to be cognizant of how much we're taking in. Fiber is great for you. You want to drink your water, and you want to have as many vegetables as you can on your plate as possible, at least half, and that goes hand in hand of why fiber is so good. So if we're looking at calories, and all calories are the same, this is a visual of looking at 400 calories. So you have 400 calories of oil, 400 calories of chicken, and then you have 400 calories of vegetable. And as you can see, they fill the stomach very differently, where you have vegetables filling the whole stomach, chicken probably filling a quarter of it, and the oil filling about an eighth of it. So 400 calories, a calorie is not a calorie. What we eat matters greatly, and we want to make sure we're giving our body the proper nutrients that it needs. So we want to focus on foods that are problematic. So when we're thinking a calorie is a calorie and serving sizes are important, one of the other things I always tell patients when they come in to see me is, what food do you think is most problematic to you? And I had a patient actually that came in today to me, and we were talking, and she said, it's the biggest thing is Cheetos. Because if I have Cheetos in the house, I don't eat just one or a handful, I eat the whole bag. And the whole bag will be gone in one sitting. I had another patient that had a very good idea. And then I actually told another patient about it, saying you should follow this idea because I think it's great, is she will take a couple of chips out of a bag, a serving size, and staple the bag closed. Because she knows that if she doesn't staple that bag closed, the bag's open with like a chip clip, she'll easily go back for more. So I feel like those are different things that we can learn from each other. And learn just to go, oh, if it's as easy as stapling a bag, maybe I won't go back. Why not try it? And serving sizes are important. We're going to look at that. Okay, so serving sizes. This is just like a quick handy portion guide. Again, these slides will be up so you can look at this yourself later on. It talks about if you ever did Weight Watchers in the past or any sort of diet, 3 ounces the size of the palm of your hand. a cup per hand is about a half a cup of vegetables or a half a cup of cooked pasta. So they're just kind of basic guides for you. Okay, so now we talked about obesity, that obesity is a disease, right? Now we're going through what's important and why is it important. We're talking about portion size. We're talking about how fiber and vegetables are key. So I said, one of the things I did just say was half of our plate should be vegetables, right? What should the other half of the plate look like? Now, if any of you have seen what my pyramid has turned into over the years, I know when I was a child, my pyramid consisted of, the base of it was grains. And you needed 8 to 10 servings of whole grains a day. And that really changed 10 years ago when we said, no, this can't happen anymore. This is too much, and this is leading to obesity and diabetes. We need to change the way we're thinking about food and really focus on vegetables and fruits. So this is how our plate should look. Like half our plate vegetables, quarter of a plate protein, and a quarter of a plate of starch. And then you would probably have dairy off in the corner too, if you'd like, and a fruit. So now that we know how our plate should look, we're going to talk about weight gain now, and weight gain during this stressful time that we're in. Again, remember, we're all coming out of the past 2 months was the idea of coming out of this lockdown, coming out of this quarantine, maybe coming out and gaining a few pounds. And now what do? So one of the things that I felt that was a very big problem, especially if you were working from home, a lot of people were stuck working from home or home with their kids or just now home and really can't go out anymore, was we had this increase in availability of food being home because it was right there, okay? The food is right there, you can reach for it. One of the things I know that I had one patient tell me was that she had to move her office, that it was too close to her kitchen, that she had to move it to a completely different floor, because if she didn't move it to a completely different floor, she felt she was going back and forth to that kitchen too much. We also have increased stress, which increased stress a lot of times means more comfort food. A lot of times they go hand in hand, and that's a behavior change that we want to work on breaking. We were also all off our schedules and routine, and a lot of people still are off schedules and routine. And, we're a lot of times, we're very habit forming, and this is what we do on a daily basis. Then all of a sudden we normally wake up, have breakfast at maybe 7 o'clock in the morning, go to work by 8:30. We have maybe a 10 a.m. snack. We have lunch at 12. We have a snack at 3, dinner at 5, and then, maybe another snack after dinner. And this was is something you did every day. Well, now maybe you're working from home. Maybe food's around all the time. So your schedule, maybe you don't have to get up that early anymore. Maybe your schedule's pushed back. So all of these things changed our routine, changed our schedule. The kids were home. There's a lot of different things that kind of impacted us during this time. And now we are working through it. And again, the gyms were closed, which was another big thing that impacted everybody. So what do we do about the quarantine 15? So if you are not back in your office and you're still working from home or things like that, or at home with kids, I would say the biggest thing to do is make a schedule for yourself. And the schedule doesn't have to be exactly what you're doing all day, but timed meals. And almost mimic what you were doing when you were at work and hopefully succeeding at weight loss. So if you ate a snack at 10 o'clock, make the snack at 10 o'clock and have an alarm go off if you need it. The other thing you can do is maybe put everything in a bag. So that way you have like your lunchbox, maybe like you were going to take to work, and you would have everything prepped and ready to go. And that would be something you would keep in the fridge. And then you would only consume what was in that bag. You would not go for anything else, okay? Again, that would take a little bit of willpower because you have everything else around you, right? The other thing is waking and sleeping. So a lot of people's sleep patterns were off during this time. When our sleep patterns are off, sometimes we tend to gain weight. We get more fatigued during the day, more irritable, less likely to have that willpower that we want to see. And because of that, we were getting this weight gain. So you want to make sure that your sleep patterns are good. You want to make sure that you're maybe waking up at a certain time, going to bed at a certain time, maybe an hour before you turn off all electronics, no TV, no computer, no Facebook, anything like that to kind of start to calm your mind down. Especially during this time when our minds can be running a mile a minute. Okay. So the quarantine schedule for eating, like I just said, you want to mimic what works or what work or school looked like before. The other thing is you want to start to avoid these comfort foods. So comfort foods are there. We call them comfort foods for a reason, but normally they are not the most nutritious or healthy foods. They're like the mac and cheese, they're cake or cookies or chips or something like that. That's really not the best thing for us. You want to try to choose healthier options, vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains, and again, have set times to eat, and alarms can help you with that. The other thing is stress. Now, stress plays a big role. Stress can impact our weight loss. When we have increased cortisol levels, we won't lose weight. It is very difficult. So we want to try to de-stress ourselves. Not only can stress help impact our weight, but if you have diabetes, stress is impacting your blood sugar levels as well. It can make them increase. So you want to try to find a way to de-stress yourself, okay? For some people, I know a couple of patients I have took up different hobbies of exercise. Maybe some started jogging, walking, running, anything. You need to find a way to de-stress yourself other than using food, because food shouldn't be what's in there to de-stress you. Food should be there to nourish our body, to help our body, but it should not be there to fight stress, because normally the foods that we are choosing in that situation are not the good foods for us, okay? So things that we could do. Yoga. They actually started a bunch of online yoga classes now. So a lot of these things that you would have to go to a studio for before, you can get online. You can do meditation. They have online group meditation now too. They have phone meditation. I have a patient that actually they call in and they all do meditation over the phone. You can do walking, social distancing yourselves from everybody, but you can do walking. Journaling also works. And sometimes just talking to somebody. So if you're stressed, instead of just going for the food right away, talk to somebody. Call up a friend, call up a sibling, call up a parent, call up anybody, and just talk to them. Sometimes that'll help get your mind off of it, okay? So these are things we're working on to de-stress ourselves. When you're journaling, you can even put down why you want that food. What's so great about that food? And then maybe on the flip side too, how is that food going to impact you negatively? Is it going to prevent you from losing weight? So those are all things that you can do to help your mind think a little bit differently. The other thing we always want to focus on, and whether we're in quarantine or not, or coming out of quarantine, even just regularly trying to lose weight, is you don't want to skimp on your workouts, okay? Now, you should really think, if it's no gym, no problem. I can still do something. Something is better than nothing. You can run, you can walk, you can do weights. And even if you don't have weights in the house, if you have cans, you can do light weights, and that's fine. You can use canned vegetables and do weights. They have videos using canned vegetables as weights on YouTube. They also have walking YouTube videos if the weather is not nice outside. They have YouTube videos for yoga. They have YouTube videos for Pilates. So you have access to all these things that are free online for you to stay as active as possible. And maybe it's now, because your routine is off, trying to find a time of day to fit it in. And maybe before it was before work, but maybe now that you're looking at it, well, it can't be before work anymore. Maybe it has to be after work. Or if you're working from home and you have a lunch break, maybe on your lunch break. So maybe thinking outside of the box of what our normal workday used to look like, and now conforming our workout schedule to what our workday looks like currently. Meal planning. So using apps and following a meal plan can help determine what we are eating. So there are many different apps out there. There's Noom now, there's MyFitnessPal, there's Lose It, there's the Samsung Health app. There are so many different ones to help you keep track of food. Now, the biggest thing I always say is when if you see yourself gaining weight, you're trying to lose weight, you're doing a very good job, and all of a sudden you see the scale creeping up. The first thing you should do is start a food log. Because that's the first line of defense for yourself, is what am I doing and what am I consuming that's making this weight go up? And rule number 2 would be, before you eat it and you log it, before you eat it, you want to log it. Because once you log it, it's too late. You've already consumed it. So you want to make sure you have an idea of what's going into your body. And then at that point, you can kind of look at it and go, oh, you know what? I had dessert 3 times this week and my scale went up 2 pounds. And maybe that's why that happened. Okay. You also want to understand all your food choices. So if you had dessert 3 times, why did you have dessert 3 times? Was it because that you were stressed? Was it because there was something, was there a party going on? Were you celebrating something? Were you saying that I reached a goal and this is what we had cake for something? You want to look at it and go, why was this happening? Is this a behavior I need to start modifying? Because weight loss is also all about behavior modifications and things that we were doing in the past. We need to now form new behaviors to help us reach our goals. So a couple of the things that we can do while we are at home, okay, is try new at-home workouts. Like I said before, there are a slew of them out there. Also, try new recipes. If any of you are not on Pinterest, I would definitely download the app. You can also just Google different recipes. I'm a big one of, if I am getting very bored with what we're doing at home, I will all of a sudden Google like ground turkey recipes, and all of a sudden 1,000 are at my fingertips and I can choose any one. If you have little kids, get the family involved. That's very important because the more that they're involved in cooking, the more apt the less apt they are to push back on a lot of different foods that you are providing them. So I think that picture in the corner is probably what my house always looks like when I'm trying to work. And working from home and working on weight loss can be a challenge. You want to set up a place that when you're working, that's not near your kitchen. So if you are working from home still, I would definitely recommend to go to another part that's not near it. If you have to be near your kitchen because that's where your workspace is, I would schedule times for lunch and snacks to know that you cannot go to the kitchen unless it's for those times. You want to focus on nutrient-intense food because if you are moving less, you want to make sure that your calories are counting. You know, it's what you're putting in your body is worthwhile for that day. You want to stay hydrated, and that's also very important because a lot of times, if we're not hydrated enough, hunger and thirst get mixed up. So if we're really thirsty, it's not coming across as thirst, it's actually coming across as hunger. But if we drank some water, that would actually be pushed down and we wouldn't have that hunger feeling anymore. You want to make sure that you're not working and eating at the same time. So try to avoid doing those two together because that can lead into mindless eating. Avoid the junk food buy is another one. You don't want to have to buy junk food and it's sitting there right on the counter for you to get whenever you want. If you do buy junk food because there are other people in the house, out of sight, out of mind, put it somewhere where it's hard for you to get. And avoid eating out of a bag because portion is key. So you want to make sure that if you are saying, okay, I logged everything, I can have this small portion of chips and it's okay. Well, don't go in the bag and get it. Portion it out and put it in a bowl, clip the bag and walk away. Okay. Now, when we're losing weight in our weight loss journey, in our everyday life, you want to look at why do we want to lose weight? And you want to assess that because it shouldn't, you normally just don't have one goal. It could be one reason why you want to lose weight, rather. It's normally because I want to lose weight because maybe I have high blood sugar and I want to lose weight to help control that. Or I don't want to go on medication, or I want to get off medication. Or I want to have more energy for my kids or my grandkids. So there are many reasons why we want to lose weight. You can even say, I want to lose weight because for vanity's sake, I want to lose weight to look good. I want to lose weight to fit in this pair of jeans that I have. So you want to list those goals out because they're important. And if you look at your goals every day, you put them up in your house somewhere where you can see them, that's more likely to help keep motivating you. When you're making your goals, you want to start small, meaning if your overall goal is you want to lose 100 pounds, well, I wouldn't say my goal is to lose 100 pounds. I would first say your goal is to lose 5 pounds and then achieve that goal. And then write my goal is to lose 10 pounds. Because as we keep achieving our goals, That helps to keep us motivated. And you can put a little check next to it, and those checks can help keep us motivated. But if we're not putting a check ever next to that 100-pound mark and it takes us a year, we're probably going to get pretty discouraged throughout that year. Your overall goal could be 100, but you need little incremental goals in between. So you want to make sure all your goals are manageable and attainable. And you want to make sure whatever diet you're following is also sustainable. So I never want anybody to come in to see me and try to go on a diet and go off of it in a month. That is why many patients that come in to see me, one of the first questions I ask them if they are following a specific diet is, can you see yourself 6 months from now following it? Yes. Okay. Well, can you see yourself a year, 5 years from now still following it? And if the answer is no, that's usually not the diet for you, because you will go off of that diet. And a lot of times when we go off of something, we can fall off of it hard and gain weight back with some friends at times. And we also want to make sure we're holding ourselves accountable. So that's where goals can help as well, because we're accountable to those goals. We want to reach those goals and we want to see those little check marks next to them. So again, looking at the reasons why we want to lose weight: to keep up with the kids, grandkids, maybe reduce medications, feel better about yourself, reduce blood sugars, fit into clothes better, or maybe enjoy shopping. I've had people tell me that I just want to enjoy shopping again. I don't enjoy it right now. You want to focus on your goals. So if your goal is smaller portion sizes, well, you should monitor your portion sizes. And next to your goal, how am I going to achieve that goal? I'm going to monitor my portion size. I know I need to drink more water. Maybe I just told you need 2 liters a day. That's 64 ounces. That's about 8 cups of water. Maybe right now you only drink 2 cups. So my goal is to drink 8 cups of water in a day. Maybe you know that you don't have enough fruits and vegetables, so you want to increase your fiber content of food. Maybe your goal is exercise, so you want to walk 15 minutes per day. It doesn't have to be an hour. Something is better than nothing. And if we're not achieving anything right now, well, a 15-minute walk compared to nothing, I think, is pretty good. And maybe keeping a food log. These are different sites. Again, like I said before, this will be on our website. So you can go back and you can reference these different websites for just different recipes for you guys, for healthier recipes. I just thought it was a nice add-on. These are different apps too. MyFitnessPal and Lose It are both unpaid apps. Noom is a paid app, and they could be helped for using as a food log. So I know we talked about diet. We talked about focusing on diet goals, things like that. Now I want to talk a little bit about exercise, because when we're talking about exercise, we want to make sure that we're getting the most out of our exercise, right? And we want to make sure that we're attaining goals. So you want to set a goal and increase it every week. So I don't expect anybody to go out and run a marathon if they've never ran before. But say your goal is to run a 5K. Well, I would say you start with half a mile and then you start increasing it every week or every other week to the best of your ability. You can do walking, jogging, strength training. So all of these you want to start. If you're starting to bike, walk, jog, you want to make sure each week you're increasing that time spent on it and your endurance, so that way you're getting the most out of your physical activity. Because when you're working out, if you do the same thing over and over again, muscle memory happens and you don't wind up burning as much as you would if you changed it and started to increase it. Okay. You want to make sure, again, we talked about goal setting, so you want to make sure the goal is specific, measurable, achievable, and realistic, and that you have a time set for it. So the goal should be something that you have, something that you can sustain, that it's measurable, attainable, realistic, and it's time bound. So you're going to do, I want to run for 1 mile in 20 minutes by the end of 2 weeks. That would be a realistic goal. And these are just some examples of workout routines that you could start doing. So again, they'll be on the website. Okay, so in summary, some of the things we want to do is we want to look ahead. Don't focus on what you gained. You want to focus on what we are going to lose, right? we want to make sure that we're not going, oh, we gained all this weight during this time and now all this lost. It's not. We're going to keep moving forward. You know, hopefully we learned from what we did too. Why did we stress eat? We're going to look at that now. Now we know if we see the scale going up, maybe we should start a food log. Maybe we should start journaling if we realize we're stress eating. Maybe we should walk instead of going to the fridge. So you're going to have these different tools in order to prevent that weight loss from happening again. You may want to make some goals. You can follow your My Plate, or setting a good workout routine or log can help you as well. If you have any questions, please, you can type it in the chat section next to it. Hopefully I would like to do webinars like this maybe once a month and have different topics going on. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you found it pretty informative for you. And I hope you guys have a great evening. Any questions, I'll take them now.